Oh man, I have too many games. Listen, don't be like me. Don't find websites where you can get discounts on games so you can get even more games that you're probably never gonna play. But hey, if you want to anyway, here's a couple websites I use to find my best deals. Okay, so first off, none of this is sponsored, but these are my top 3 websites I use to find games, and also my top 3 websites I use to find discounts on games, top 3 ways I like to acquire used games, and also top 3 local ways I like to get games. And I feel like I have to say it again and again, you do not need games. You probably have a shelf of shame that needs your attention, like I do. Number 1 on my list is gamNerdcom. This is a website. It's based out of Texas. It's a physical store. And they have a free shipping at $75. They also have dig indent sales, lots of deals all year round. In fact, they have something called Nerds Day, which is kind of like Prime Day, except just for board games. Really deep discounts, really cool site. The only ding I have against them is that their physical store was somewhat lacking when I went, but maybe that was just the store, maybe it was the day, maybe they were in transition, I don't know, but GamNerdcom. Number 2 on my list is a website called Stone Valley Games. It's kind of an obscure website, but they have a lot of hard to find things, a lot of things from Kickstarter, and pretty good discounts. It's kind of a neat story because we found this place traveling through Alabama. I wanted to find a game store, and I found this game store called Stone Valley Games. Turned out to be in this person's house. They were transitioning into a store. It was COVID time. Got to meet the owner and had a really cool experience. They also give away a lot of games. Check them out, Stone Valley Games. My number 3 website is a website I use occasionally. It's called boardtopia.com. They have an $85 free shipping, lots of ding and dents, lots of daily deals, sales. I really like how clean the site is. It ships well. I have no complaints about boardtopia.com. I do have an honorable mention to throw in while I'm trying to fit this game in here. Miniature Market. It's one of the big sites. It's one I used with Cool Stuff Inc. before Cool Stuff Inc. started not being so cool. Miniature Market has a lot of ding and dents, a lot of sales, $100 free shipping limit. Oh, here's a spot. But the thing about them is when they go on sale, or when they have a sale, it's often repetitive, a lot of the same stock, same prices. So the sales aren't that exciting, but when they are exciting. So right now, usually around this time of year, it's an exciting sale, but year round, while they do have big sales, thousands of games even for sale, they're not that exciting because it's old stock. But miniaturemarket.com. Let's see, this doesn't really match any colors. I like to keep it in color order. But anyway, this is a great time for me to tell you about CamelCamel, my first mention for websites I like to use to find a deal. And this isn't just for board games. If you're familiar with Amazon, which I'm sure you are, it's a tracker for Amazon. You can put whatever price you want to track, put it at the price you would like to pay for it, and it'll email you whenever that price is hit, if it ever is. I've had some on there for many years that just haven't hit yet, but I'm waiting. Anyway, CamelCamel.com. And if it doesn't match a color, into the closet it goes. But if you want a more board game specific website for price tracking and everything like that, Board Game Oracle. Before Board Game Oracle, there was Board Game Atlas. Before that, there was Board Game Prices. But now Board Game Oracle is doing what those other sites have done today, because those other sites are gone. But yeah, if you want to find the lowest price, find out where it is, BoardGameOracle.com. Check it out. And the last place I like to use to acquire all these board games that I clearly need is reddit.com/r/boardgamedeals. So on this website, it's pretty cool because it's all user-based. So you're going to find some deals that aren't necessarily publicized. Maybe someone found a gem of a deal somewhere and just wants to share it everywhere. But the downside of that is once it's shared everywhere, people jump on it and it clears out fast. So you got to be there pretty often on Reddit. Okay, just a few more games to clean up, but this gives me time to tell you about the places I like to find used games. And the first place on my list is Board Game Geek. Board Game Geek is a very popular board game spot. If you haven't been there and you are a board gamer, you need to get over to Board Game Geek like yesterday, because this is a place where it's going to tell you all the top games out there, all the hottest games out there. There's contests to win free games, but anyway, we're talking about acquiring used games. There's a whole marketplace for that as well. Used games, there are reputations that keep you safe when you purchase. BoardGameGeek.com. I forgot about that stack. That was a Kickstarter. That was new. That was new. Okay, so none of these are used games, but another way I like to buy used games, board game conventions. Did I get any of these at board game conventions? Probably. But board game conventions often have virtual flea markets or in-person flea markets where you can get used games for crazy cheap. I've gotten some $50 games for 10 bucks, or I'll find a really hard to find game for $20 or $30 that normally you would find on eBay for hundreds. So board game conventions, most of them do a flea market, and if they don't, volunteer to run it yourself. Get people involved in it. Board game conventions. I'm coming back in the closet. So the last place I like to get used games, Facebook. Your mileage may vary for sure. So I've gotten some decent deals on Facebook and met some other board gamers, and that's pretty cool. But Facebook is a tricky place. There's a lot of scams and stuff like that. But it doesn't hurt to check, especially if you're one of the few board gamers in your town. You might have some mutual friends with the person selling board games. So just check it out. Just be cautious. Your mileage may vary. Facebook.com. All right, same angle because I still have a lot of games to put up, but now I'm going to talk to you about local ways you can find some cheap board games locally, of course. So the first one is Target. Most people have Targets in their town, and they have some deep discounts. In fact, right now, as I'm making this video, they're having a 50% off sale. I'm just going to cram this down here. The next one I want to tell you about is Barnes & Noble. At Barnes & Noble, you can get all sorts of sales because they're constantly stocking these board games. Sometimes they don't move and then they go on sale. And I guess board gamers have gotten smart because we just wait for the sale these days. We're not going to buy your new games, Barnes & Noble. So that light decided to start flashing while I'm making this. Cool. So just to wrap up Barnes & Noble, great discounts, sometimes 50, sometimes even 75% off. Surprisingly great selection at Barnes & Noble. So get over to Barnes & Noble in a flash. I'm not going to use that. Another local way you can get decently priced board games is to buy it from a local store. And this is probably my first or second favorite way to get games. And your local store is a great thing to support because it's going to bring in gamers from your local area. It's going to provide you a gaming space when you need a gaming space or if you need a gaming space. And also, in a world full of boring stores, isn't it nice to have a fun store, like a board game store? All right, before I get out of here, I want to tell you one more bonus selection, and it's actually becoming one of my favorite ways to acquire games. Please hit subscribe and I'll tell you about it. Thank you. All right, so Dune Imperium Uprising is one I just purchased. And I purchased it directly from the publisher. And this is quickly becoming one of my favorite ways to do it because I feel like I know where my money's going. And plus they throw in a few extras in the box. So directly supporting the publishers that give us the games, I think that's a really cool way to buy your board games. I'm throwing this in while I'm editing. Please tell me your favorite way you like to buy board games in the comments below. Maybe I'll learn something. Thanks for helping me clean up my board game room today, and until next time, the box is closed.